that was appealing. But the fact that, the closest thing we saw was people walking around drinking 40s and stuff like that was cool enough,
Yeah.
St. Ides commercials.
St. Ides commercial made me want a 40.
Yeah. So it's St. Ides with fentanyl right now.
Just right? Hit the corner store. You know what I'm looking for. St. Ides.
What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite local neighborhood barbershop style podcast. I think I got all of the adjectives in there this time. I'm Tavares Ferguson, aka Ferg, joined with your co-host. Oh, my co-host, Buff and Rozzy. Fellas, y'all know what to do.
We could be their co-host too.
Okay. Yeah. Y'all part of it.
They're all part of the Three Brothers No Sense family.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I got a lot to start and end the show. But for starters, Colorado, man. Colorado made a bold move. Their Supreme Court ruled that 45 is ineligible to be on their ballot. They cited him being an insurrectionist, and according to the 14th Amendment, you are not allowed to run for, I don't think just president, I think it's any public office in government. But more than likely, with a 6-3 conservative court in the Supreme Court, 3 of the justices that he himself appointed, I believe they'll overturn it. And to be completely independent, he hasn't officially been found guilty of being an insurrectionist. So I can see almost any lawyer or whatever arguing that. But it's still, again, it was a bold move, and there are other states that are attempting to do the same thing. I think Michigan is one of them, and I read where other states may follow suit. The scary thing is, I'm gonna let you jump in, Ferg, is anytime you do this, the scary thing is always, will this become a normal thing? Mm-hmm. Will the other parties start doing this when the Democrats have a candidate they don't like, and certain states, try to rule to get them off the ballot? What you got, Ferg?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. There's a couple of things. So how did I'm assuming Colorado Supreme Court make this ruling that what I think we all kind of agreed when we first saw it is going to be potentially easily overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. So what information are they going to look up that's different than what Colorado used to make this call?
I think the Supreme Court will look at pretty much what I said. Yeah. That he show me where he's been found guilty of being an insurrectionist. This is just based off your opinion.
So how did Colorado make that then? It's almost.
It was close too. It was a 4-3 ruling in their Supreme Court. So.
Okay. And it was down appointee lines, right? Like Republican appointee versus Democratic appointee. I'm
sure it was.
So that is a little bit of it.
The GOP Republicans in Colorado are pissed from what I saw.
And secondly, I'm more concerned about the precedent that you said that might be set. Yeah. Because they're the GOP is coming after Biden, right? For those that don't know, they're trying to get him impeached or all these things. So this is dangerous, and it's sad that this is the game that we play, where I could really see, especially if certain people get in office, that they really make this part of their strategy moving forward. Right. And then it's like, well, y'all started it. Yeah. It's very dangerous. So we got that, man. I thought that was interesting. I think so. A long time ago, we had a conversation about allowances on here. And I think at first I was against it. After listening to Rozzy, I was for it. And it turns out you were right, bro. I've been very proud of my daughter, who's been, making great grades as she has begun high school this year. And we was just having a conversation, and she told me, because I Who began high school?
My daughter.
You got something you want to tell us about, sir?
She told me money helps motivate her good grades. Like she's like, it's a good incentive. And it really makes her try as hard as possible. So I know some parents don't agree with that. They feel like, hey, good grades is what's expected. I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying for my child, it's working. And she definitely enjoys getting a nice little payday when her report card comes in. So if you're listening to this with your mom in the car, Jasmine, keep up the good work. And last but I want to
rebut back to those folks that say, that's the expectation. Well, the expectation on your job is do a good job, but guess what? Money motivates you to do a little bit better job too. I'm sure your boss be like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a raise." You be like, "Oh, let me get a little pep in your step, don't you?" Like, don't act like money don't motivate you.
I use that same example. I use the bonus as an example, though. I was like, hey, but I say, hey, your job already pays you to do your job. But if you do better than expected, you get a bonus. And you like that bonus, don't you?
Right.
So, Tiny Desk concerts?
Yeah, NPR.
Face Mob, baby.
Oh, man.
Face Mob. Scarface got people talking, man. And I'm so happy. I think he's one of the greatest rappers that doesn't get the flowers that other so-called greatest rappers get. Your Jay-Z's, your Kanye's, your Kendrick Lamar's and Tupac's, they get their flowers all the time. Scarface, I think, is relatively rarely mentioned. But after this Tiny Desk concert, I've seen a lot of people just saying how they've been watching it over and over, how they enjoy it. And he came with the heat. Mm-hmm. That's what I like. A lot of times you get artists to perform and they'll perform a song or two that you're like, I don't really rock with that one. Man, Face came with nothing but heat the entire set. Like when he started off, I was like, we just gonna jump right into it.
Right.
Oh, okay. And he just came, my block, seen a man cry before I seen him. Man, it was just real cool to see. And a lot of people didn't know he was a musician. He could play the guitar and other instruments as well. So it's good to see him do that, man.
Well, more surprising than him being a musician was I ain't know Mike D was white.
That was a surprise. That was a surprise. Hey yo,
he mentioned him all the time.
Yeah,
I know my coworker listens to the show. DC, shout out to Backyard Band, man. I saw a couple people saying, "Yo, that band was dope." They are like legends in this area, in the DMV area. So it was good to see the Backyard Band getting some love. Every time Face comes here, when he performs at the Howard Theater, he gets the Backyard Band to play with him. So it was good to see him including them on this set.
Yeah, they were groovy, bro.
Yeah. Back to real music.
That's all I got for the top of the show,
and with
man.
that though, man, like Face is up there as like one of the best storytellers of all time, right? Like artist wise, and it's just really cool for so many people that didn't think hip hop was an art form. And you listen to what he's talking about and how he was able to just kind of slow it down, not put all the hip hop bass and all that stuff. You got that band behind you, and it was almost like spoken word, like that when he was telling the stories.
That's exactly
like
what it was.
Man's cry. Never seen a man cry like that. When he did that, man, it was just like, and the gestures he was making, bruh. When I say this is like top tier, probably best Tiny Desk concert I've ever seen. It's it's up there. It really is. It made me feel it.
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job. I mean, I've listened to it 5-6 times already, and I feel him every time. Like it's like you see the feelings and the emotions he evokes is always there. You hit it on the head, Rozzy. When you pull back the bass and you can get back to the artistry of it, the composition of the music. The spoken words and the things, his imagery that he paints, his depth the words that he's saying, it hits different. He did a great job. I mean, he definitely, Byron has been singing his praises for years, and I always respect him as an artist.
Right.
But the Tiny Desk concert just did something completely different because it solidified the purity of the art. And to what you were saying, Razi, some people don't support the artistry of hip hop because unfortunately every artist can't do that. Mm-hmm. Right? How many people can sit down and you put them on a tiny desk and you peel back the bass and the hook and you like skirt, you can't do that. There's only so many sound effects and stuff that you can make that aren't just going to it doesn't go over well. Right? You know how they made Tupac's lyrics into classes at certain universities. You can't do that with some of these, you can't do a Soulja Boy class, right?
Yeah. Even Juvenile. Like we were super excited about Juvenile's Tiny Desk, but putting Juvenile's Tiny Desk versus Scarface's Tiny Desk, it's worlds apart, bruh. Like Juvenile's was entertaining. It took you back. It was like, oh, that's cool. But right, looking back at his, the singers and Manny and the beat, they did more for Juvenile's Tiny Desk than Juvenile really did for his, if you really look at it. Scarface was the center of attention on that. It wasn't, oh, I'm going to let this singer sing for a couple of minutes during my Tiny Desk. It was all about Face and the, like I said, the words and what he says in the song. So it's just, man, I can't sing the praises enough.
All right. What you got out? What else you got, Razi?
Oh, for me,
you got to jump into it.
Yeah, we got to talk about Jonathan Majors. Has actually been convicted of misdemeanor assault and harassment. So it's a little different than, full blown felony assault or anything like that. The difference is the intent, right? They said that it was misdemeanor assault because he didn't intend to hurt her. He wasn't trying to hurt her. It came down to the finger. When he was trying to wrestle his phone away from her, he broke her finger. And so that's the assault part of it. And him trying to put her back into the car. That's where they are leaning it towards for the harassment side of it. And so that's what he actually was convicted of. And that's what makes it a misdemeanor, because he wasn't intentionally trying to assault her. And so that's how he got convicted from that.
This is one of those times the eyes of justice were not blind. Mm-hmm. Because you are allowed to get your property back, especially a phone with how much information is in it, as far as like some people have their pay linked to it and a lot of sensitive material. Now I get he probably was trying to get his phone back for different reasons, but still it's his property. If that's a man that takes his phone at a lounge somewhere and he just snatches it back and happens to hurt that man's fingers, I don't think he's getting charged with anything because he's within his rights to get the phone back.
Right. Well, don't use a random man. If we're in a car together and I take your phone and you break my finger, I shouldn't have took your phone. End of discussion. If his girlfriend was in the car and her homegirl took her phone and she broke her finger, she should have never took her phone. So, you had anything else you want to say on it, Rising? Because I got some things I want to kind of...
That's all. I mean, that, Marvel dropped them. So we don't have a Kang right now. But Marvel has announced that they're going forward with Kang, the Kang Dynasty and the Avengers movie. So they're more than likely are going to have to recast. So we'll just see who is going to end up being the new Kang the Conqueror. If that... I've heard rumors of Will Smith, John Boyega. I don't think either one of them are going to take it. So we'll just see. I'm pretty sure it's going to be kind of an unnamed actor on that. But I'll jump to the next thing I was going to talk about with casting. But you said you have something on Jonathan Majors. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is... I'm going to speak freely on this one. And hopefully I don't get in trouble for this. I feel differently about this one, right? Usually when we talk about DV, because that's what, this would start off, right? Like you were saying, Byron, with him being able to get his phone back, the video footage, her aggressiveness, and I even see women and others not as adamantly defending or attacking him as you normally see when it comes to DV. You know, it's men shouldn't put their hands on women, right? It's usually just very cut and dry. And then we get into the whole debate. What if that, this is that what if situation, right? This is that what if situation that we talk about where, you know, you're weaponizing first of all, weaponizing your whiteness, weaponizing your not sexuality, but your gender. It's kind of crazy, you know, like, because even when we saw that video, we talked about it last week, where she's chasing him down the street, you know, what does that say? Like, that shows the instability. It shows all the stuff. Now, I know they used previous text messages and things like that. She supposedly showed some things that he broke, that he threw at her, or all these things. But his lawyer was saying, hey, we're talking about in this instance. This is what we're talking about. Like, you know, because there was rumors or they tried to talk about there was a history of emotional abuse. Mm-hmm. So in this situation, with the facts that we were given, you know, and you explained it well, Razi, like, okay, because her finger was broken in the situation, they're saying, you know, assault. But it's just so, I don't know how to feel about this one, right? It's just, and then I'm very interested to see the punishment, but we've already seen the punishment of public opinion, right? He's already been found guilty and punished in the court of public opinion.
He likely won't do jail time, I read.
Probably not. I mean, the maximum sentence is 1 year.
It's misdemeanor.
So, he'll probably do, you know, like maybe house arrest or, you know, fines, those types of things. That's probably what he'll end up having to do, along with, you know, have to go to see a counselor and all that. So that's probably what they'll do. I'm interested to see that, but it's his livelihood, though. Like, he's an actor, and like, it's going to be hard for him to get cast for a while now. After this, right? He's gonna have to start back small, or some studio's gonna have to take a chance on him, like they did with Robert Downey Jr. with Iron Man. And what was that? What was the guy who played Whiplash in Iron Man 2? Mickey Rourke. Yeah. Same thing there, right? Like they were, Marvel was taking chances on these guys, but now you've got this character and you can't take a chance on him with this misdemeanor thing. So I was surprised they even dropped him. I thought they were going to stand behind him, truthfully.
You could tell they had that saved in a draft. Oh, yeah. And as soon as the verdict came out, they sent it out. So I wouldn't be surprised they already have who they want to replace him.
That's true, too. Yeah.
And Kane might not be black. So that was one thing. I was like, you assumed they were going to replace him with a black guy.
I did.
Who gave you Negroes a chance.
Yeah.
That's true. So that's what I got. Only other thing, man, about casting is Alan Richter. So Reacher season 2. If you guys know the Jack Reacher stories, he's the like investigative person in the military, either Navy or Army, depending on which one you're looking at. But he was like an MP there, got out, but he's like this big towering guy. So Reacher season 2 has come out. It's dropped. It's really good if you like that. It's on Amazon Prime Video. Check that out. But he is in talks to play the next Batman, or people are fan casting him, those types of things. So that's just kind of cool to see. I think he would make an awesome Batman in James Gunn's DCU. So we'll see how that happens if that pans out. But I think he would make a really good one, because if you watch Reacher, he's essentially Batman without a cape and cowl. So that's how good he is in that. And so I think it'll work really, really well if they do cast him in that, because the dude's like 7'2", like 300 pounds, all muscle. Like it would make a really good Batman. I think the hardest part for DC would be casting a, villain opposite him that looks as imposing, right? If you tried to go with a Bane or somebody like that. But I think that's kind of the cool part, is Batman overshadowed and overpowered all those other characters. And so it might be a cool dynamic to see.
So you're talking about you can't do Batman that big.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. You can't make him that big. But in the comics, he actually is that big. Yeah, he's like 6'10" or something like that in the comics.
Well, how many 7'2"? Like, if you see a random 7'2" dude, billionaires like in the same city. Like, how many 7'2" dudes are in Gotham City?
Right.
That's a whole nother conversation. But I'm way too logical, so I'll make mine quick. It's all about trailers. So the trailer, and I think I'm with Byron on this one. The
Society of Magical Negroes.
What is it? The cat. I'm not feeling.
Oh, okay.
That second trailer just did me in. Yeah. It just became a rom-com, and I was not expecting that. Hopefully, I'm wrong, and I hear better reviews after it comes out. But no. But American Fiction looks like it's going to be great. Yep. I'm excited for that.
Very good cast. Very good cast, man.
It seems like it's what we need. It's a comedy. It seems like it's going to be satirical on, the black word, the black president. It's going to be really good. So I'm very excited about that. And I went to see The Hunger Games, Ballad of Mockingbird and
Fire and Ice,
snakes or something like
Snakes
that.
and Planes. Yeah, I can't remember what it is. I know what you're talking about though.
Snakes, yeah. Snakes on a plane, yeah. Hunger Games, Snakes on a Plane. It was pretty good though. It's a prequel to all the Hunger Games. It tells the story of Snow, the president. It's pretty good. It leads up to a lot. They tie a lot of stuff in. So that's the first one. I'm pretty sure they're going to turn it into a trilogy because there was a lot of cliffhangers, a lot of things that were left untold. So if you haven't had a chance and you did like the Hunger Games, I don't know if either one of you guys really got into those stories.
I loved them. The books were awesome too.
It was pretty good. Yeah, the books were really good. So it's even better because Katniss annoyed me. So she's super annoying, but it's almost, you see him becoming a villain. And it's almost like if it was a DC movie or something like that, he's like, this is how the Joker was made. You can see his wheel spinning. So outside of that, let's jump into it. Is Sophia available?
She is not, man. She's with her grandma, and I did not get a joke together. So y'all get to skip.
That's unfortunate.
So
that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I do have a funny joke. A family purchased $10,000 in gift cards for Disneyland, and then they found out it was for Disney Plus. So I just found that funny. I don't know what you're gonna do with $10,000 in gift cards. They thought it was for Disney, but it was for Disney Plus. I don't know what you do with $10,000 worth of Disney Plus.
I don't know what you do with $10,000 worth of Disney.
You can spend $10,000 at Disney. Easy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of gift cards.
Very much a lot of gift cards.
Yeah.
How many cards?
Hurts. That hurts. Oh.
And I'm pretty sure you can't sell gift cards back.
Nope, you can't refund. There's no refund on gift cards. So they just got to give them away.
Disney Plus for life.
Yeah. I was sad, man.
Yeah, man. That's horrible.
Membership means more with American Express Business Gold. Earn 4 times membership rewards points in your top 2 eligible spending categories every month, including eligible U.S. advertising purchases and select media, and U.S. purchases at restaurants, including takeout and delivery. What are you waiting for? Get the card that flexes with your spending every month. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Well, who wants to go first? I think we got 2 questions last week. Who didn't get to go?
I didn't.
You didn't get to go? You didn't get a chance to go.
I don't think. All right. So, not long ago, we talked about, we actually disagreed on when Orlando somewhere in Florida. It was somewhere in Florida that had, I think it was Daytona, as a matter of fact, in that area. But they had the mass shooting that was racially motivated. And you guys felt like Governor DeSantis was liable because of some of the language he's used over the years. And also we've seen rap music and hip hop be a target of that over the decades, from where they had to add the parental advisory, explicit content and all that stuff. They were getting blamed for violence and things. My question to you guys is, when do you actually blame language? And when does the person who goes out there and commit the act, it's just solely on them? Like, where do you draw the line? Like with rap music and what politicians say. I remember Sarah Palin was kind of called out for putting, I think, bullseyes on certain members of Congress, and then Gabby Giffords wound up getting shot in Phoenix, Arizona. So where is the line where you can say fiery rhetoric if you're a politician, or if you're a rapper, you can, paint these vivid pictures and you not necessarily blame their language? When does the language go too far, in y'all opinion, to where you can say, you know what, you should be kind of held accountable for that one?
I think for me, it's when it's a direct line, right? There's very difference of saying generally, I believe this, or I think we should do this, or whatever, versus, we're going to go out and do this exact thing, right? Like, I think when they set the plan, or they target somebody or something like that, and then somebody goes and follows behind that, knowing that person has a follow. And I think that's the other part about it is it's a moving target, because it's not the same for every person, right? You saying something is very different than somebody who has a following and they have actual henchmen behind them that are like, well, they said that, so I think we should go ahead and do it, right? Like, I think that's where you have to look at the following and how much that person is worshipped. I hate to say it, from like a hero worship type of vibe, right? If they have people that really are going to follow through with that thing. So you talk about the Tupac Biggie thing, right? I think there is something there to say, because that you have a following behind you that are going to do that. You got those homeboys that are going to do it, right? Like, we can't say certain things around some of our friends because they might make it happen, right? And we know that. So I think it's that. It's when you know that you have people that are going to follow through, and then you say those things and they do it, that's when it comes down on you. Other than that, I think it is just kind of that fiery rhetoric. But the problem with it is that we know a lot of these politicians have people that will follow through on that. So they have to be careful about what they say and about targeting stuff and saying we need to take this person out or whatever. You can't use those types of words with people that have a third grade education and are just going to follow you for whatever reason, they follow you today.
So to put you on the spot, and if you don't have an immediate example, then that's fine, because sometimes it's hard to think of specific ones. So like in DeSantis's case, he's never said, go and shoot black people, but you felt like his rhetoric could be construed as, I guess, being against minorities and black people. So how would you tie him into like the explanation you just gave?
Yeah, like for
him
that,
having a following.
I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember my stance on it, but I did say that he wasn't liable for it. I said that he held some responsibility, because he does, right? Like, and I think that's the thing where I don't necessarily hold you liable, like you did it, but you do have some responsibility if you're empowering the people who are doing it, right? If you make them feel comfortable to do it, if they feel like they're going to get away with it because you've kind of they've seen how you've skirted the law or you've stacked the courts to do these things, and then you have that rhetoric behind it, and they feel like they have that powerful ally in you, and then they can go out and do it. So yeah, you're not directly liable for it. You're not, on the hot seat, but you do have some culpability, I guess, in everything. Like we can hold you a little bit accountable for it, but I'm not saying that you're Ron DeSantis, it's your fault this person died. I wouldn't put that on there. And I know some of the people were saying that. And so I disagreed with them that it was his fault that he died, but he does have a level of responsibility because of all the other stuff and the rhetoric and all of that stuff there. It's one of those things where you feel it, or as a human being, you probably should be able to feel it in your heart. Like you should feel some guilt. And I guess that's what it is. If I was in Ron DeSantis' shoes and I had said all that stuff and that happened, I would feel some guilt. And so that's why I say, morally he should feel some guilt there, but I don't think legally or anything like that, it's his fault.
To your initial question, like where's the separation? I think it's all, like Razi said, I think it depends on the power and the influence you have over people. Directly what's said, I think two things can be true. You can be responsible, and the person responsible, but the person who committed the crime can be responsible and liable. So, a good example, and we're dealing with it now, is still January 6th. Like, there's an argument about how responsible is Donald Trump for the actions of January 6th. He never word for word said, go attack the Capitol. So how can you hold him responsible? But he knew, just like anybody who's a professional motivator, that's how he sells himself. Coaches are professional motivators. They'll go out, and a good coach will have a team feel like they can run through a wall. Politicians motivate you to feel what they're saying. Rappers, musicians try to they make their money off of motivating you to feel and follow their direction and their movement. How are you going to start talking? What slang? What term can they come up? How can you dress like them? How can you be the next Rozzy Rod, the new rapper from Birmingham? Like whatever it is, they try to build off of that. I mean, Ron DeSantis is a poor man's Trump. Right? He knows over time he has built a following for people who are looking for somebody to say, because I'm not a leader, to say the things that I need to hear and I wanted to say that I already wanted to do or already kind of had a feeling, and now he put it into words. And so, yeah, he didn't say go out and shoot up a club or anything like that. But he also talks about the dangers of, all these things that are woke and black and, the LGBTQ community. Like he attacks certain groups to make them feel like they are a threat to Christian values, the white norm and all that stuff. And so somebody who doesn't know how to deal with these things is like, well, it's an attack. Let me be a patriot, because a lot of these people consider themselves patriots. They justify the things they're doing. Should Ron DeSantis necessarily be on trial for the shooting? No. It gets dangerous because then you talking about the First Amendment and people being muted. But it's like when you have too much power and pull, and you're able to get people to go out and do whatever you want to do. Because I feel like at one point, we didn't know what Trump was going to do with the world. We talked about, and there was, general consensus, especially during the pandemic, that it could be a race war, right? It was so many things that were, and all it took for is somebody like Trump to really galvanize the people, get them going, or whatever the case may be. And any of those things could have sparked, because people like that have power. I don't know. They have some responsibility. They're not liable. They do have some responsibility though. Yeah.
And with that, like when you look at Trump, okay. I do think he's liable, because without him saying those words, without him saying come to the Capitol, without him saying don't let it, he literally said, don't let them certify the stuff. Like he said those things. And so, you know, by all means necessary, like he said things like that. And so I do find him liable, because when we talk about his rhetoric directly said, go do these things. Or he didn't say go do it, but he said, make sure this thing happens. We in the Army, we call it commander's intent, right? Like, as long as I can get my commander's intent, then whatever the mission says, whatever the op order says, does not matter. I am going for my commander's intent. He gave his intent. Do not let them certify the election. They stole it. It's ours. Don't let them certify it. Boom. I got my commander's intent. So now, whatever I got to do not to let them do it, I'm going to rally. I'm going to walk. We're going to march. That's not working. Boom. We're going to get in there. We're going to stop them. So ultimately, I find him 100% liable in that case. And I do think any jury, once it actually happens, they are too.
But then also you got to look at the social environment, because things like that are going around you. You have to be aware of what you say. You know, like if you know that school shootings are up and stuff like that, or if you're a coach and you know football team's been fighting and there's been a lot of stuff, there's been a heated, like you have to be aware that you can't go say certain things, because even though you might not have been the catalyst they got this, but there's a certain energy in the air where you're like, okay, it's chippy out there.
Yeah, yeah.
America's very chippy.
Because I remember back,
and so when was
that John McCain was debating some other Republican, and they were trying to go after Obama, and McCain called him out and was like, no, you know, he's not I think he said he's not a Muslim and he's not this and this. We just differ on like opinions. I can't remember exactly what it was. Do you remember?
It wasn't another candidate. It was a person at one of his town halls.
Oh, okay.
It was a lady that said, you know, he's a Muslim and stuff, and he took the mic from him. So good stuff. Here's what I'll say, because I think there's an even worse example for DeSantis, because I didn't feel quite how you guys did about the shooting when it came to his rhetoric that you did. But I want to start here. I think the foundation of the language always begins with a them versus us. Now, I'm not saying every time someone lays that foundation, they can be liable, but it starts with that. When you start making people feel like they're on one side versus another side, and then you start turning it up on how they're not only, you know, bad people that we disagree with, but they're ruining your livelihood. When you start telling people, hey, they're a threat to your livelihood, then people respond to that in certain ways. And then the more and more specific rhetoric you add to that, you definitely can start looking for blame. A couple of examples, though, like
real quick, that's a good point, especially when the people saying that have the power to potentially protect you as well. Mm-hmm. So me telling a bunch of black people that they're Ferg can't do for us. They're like, I can't do for the people. Mm-hmm. But if the president, the governor who might pardon you and has political power and friends is saying these things, then you might be able to get away with it. Because why would the governor of Florida tell you anything wrong? Continue.
Yeah, so like this is something Tupac faced. He went to court for it. With DeSantis, during a debate, one of the recent debates, he said that when he's elected, he will make it so any Mexican that's crossing the border, I think he said with a bag, that he will direct Border Patrol to shoot.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, Ron, not everybody is carrying fentanyl and a drug dealer or a member of the Mexican mob. So you're just going to shoot people without any type of due process whatsoever. So now, because we had a group called the Minutemen during the Bush administration who took it upon themselves to patrol the border. So now if they come back, or a group like them come back and do that, I definitely think DeSantis would have some explaining to do, because that is specifically saying it. that's kind of where I draw the line. Young Jeezy, everybody knows about him and Gucci Mane's beef, but in one of his songs, he raps and then at the end he says, "I got $10,000 for anybody who will bring me his chain." And then one of the people that he was associated with broke in Gucci Mane's house. Gucci Mane wound up shooting and killing him. That's on Jeezy.
Mm-hmm.
You put that in it. You specifically put that energy out there. That's on you, big dog.
Right now, Abbott with what's going on in Texas, he's signing into effect that any lawman suspects of being an illegal alien, they can stop and question all this stuff. Like, he's basically like, if you look Mexican, I can. And so
it's stop
how many citizens arrest or
it's essentially
pretty much
for Hispanics. I won't even say Mexican, right?
He's crazy.
But stop and frisk for any Hispanic looking person.
Anybody who.
So it's So I am a big I'm all about free speech, and I know rhetoric gets fiery. Nearly every politician at one point or another has said, "We gotta fight. You need to fight. We gotta fight." That usually means get the vote out, protest if you need to, that kind of thing. But then you got some, you gotta fight, and they really mean, that they want you to go tear some stuff up. So it's definitely a case by case basis. I just wanted to have this discussion, man, and just point out a couple of specific examples that I had. But I think when you start getting specific, then you definitely can hold that person liable. But overall, I just think the people that carry out the acts are the ones that are to blame. And I don't want rap music blamed for every drug deal and killing and things like that. At the peak of rap in the 90s, I said this over and over, at the peak of rap in the 90s, violent crime was going down. So,
yeah, but I think there are links that you have to look at, and that's a whole nother conversation, though. I mean, it's
which came first. It's a chicken and egg thing.
Followers, right?
Was it hip hop telling the story of what was actually happening, or was it hip hop driving the things that were happening? Right? I don't think it was hip hop driving it. I think it was the war on drugs and all of that was happening. Economics, Reaganomics was happening. It was catching up with us. Like, all of those things were happening. That was driving a lot of that. And they did a great job in doing that. But now they got to do like Pimp C said during his famous rant against Atlanta. When, okay, we done told the story about how it's drugs out there and the killers and stuff like that, and how you got to sell drugs to make a living. Now it's time to start telling more and more the other side. How you're getting arrested in and out of jail. How your life is constantly in danger. How you're hurting your own community in a lot of ways like that. Playing into the hands of the system that, hey, we can lock you up while you help kill more people that look like you. Tell the other side. That's what rap is missing a lot of times. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For me, I'm talking about I think this new recreational drug epidemic that's going around. Like, these kids, you're into drugs like never before.
Pills and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that, I think that's, and it's not like the dope game or you got to do this to make money and live, and it's just like freaking suburban middle class black kids. It's right now, like in Texas or Houston or HISD or all of Houston, the EpiPen, the vape pen and all that stuff is so bad that they're cracking down on that. You get caught with a vape pen, it's 10 days suspension automatically. It's just people are overdosing in schools left and right, good and bad schools. And it's talking about, everybody's just so.
Now, and you know what? I definitely will co-sign that. I think, listening to rappers talk about things that you wouldn't do, that will get you in trouble, like killing and stuff like that. Most people are not going to do that. But the fun stuff they talk about, the recreational drug use, the having sex with as many people as you can, things like that, that I think is very influential to the youth, because the youth are all about having fun. They ain't gonna necessarily pick up a gun and kill somebody, but they will try this pill. They will try this, drug.
Because the even though like our rappers back in the day were rapping about certain things, like you said, I wasn't trying to be no, I wasn't trying to be no stick up kid. I wasn't trying to be no, like, I ain't about to go do no hard drugs. Like, none of that was appealing. But the fact that, the closest thing we saw was people walking around drinking 40s and stuff like that was cool enough. St. Ides commercials.
St. Ides commercial made me want a 40.
So it's St. Ides with fentanyl right now.
Just hit the corner store. You know what I'm looking for. St. Ides.
But it's gone to a whole nother level where kids are ODing before school, bruh. Like, it's 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and kids are falling out and passing out in line getting into school because they have to do so many drugs because they're cracking down on drugs at the schools, or trying to crack down on drugs. I mean, these kids are super innovative of how they're sneaking drugs into. They're mules now, right? It's a thing, It's almost, how can you get drugs into the school? It's part of the pastime. So let's jump into the next one. So it's Christmas, and Byron, you have a teenager, high schooler, and Rising, I have both young kids still, and Santa's been doing his shopping and all that good stuff. And I've seen several comments, and we've talked about it before, maybe on the show or maybe amongst ourselves, about telling our kids the truth about Santa.
And spoiler alert, parents, if you're riding with your kids in the car, this is not safe for the children. So you might want to pause it until you drop them off at school.
Yeah. Once again, reiterate, spoiler alert. So give you a little while to do that. But I'm seeing more and more people say that they'll never let their kids believe in Santa and all that stuff. And it seems like, anybody want to guess the reason that we keep hearing that people don't want to tell their kids?
Most of the time it's they don't want this white man taking their credit. That's usually what black people say. They don't want this white man taking their credit. But generally they don't want to lie to their kids, big or small. They don't believe in lying to their kids.
I see that maybe 10% of the time. That I don't want to lie. I think more than anything, like you said, I don't want to take the credit. So I don't want a white man taking credit. What are your thoughts on that? How do you guys feel about that as a whole?
Well, I agree.
And we had one person recently make a post saying that they told their 5-year-old and they won't let them believe it. And if your kids are around, they'll tell them to.
Yeah, so I'm 50% with that person. I don't believe in. I didn't tell my kid that was a Santa Claus. I told her straight up that there is no Santa Claus.
How old was she?
Maybe 3 or 4, something like that.
Okay.
But I don't want some. It's a lot of reasons for me, and most of it is based on race. But I didn't want some mythical character getting my credit. But more or less, you will never find a white family giving credit to a mythical black person to their kids. You won't find it. But we do it so freely because it's tradition. I don't rock with that. And I don't think it ruins their Christmas. Kids like free toys. Kids like toys. So their birthday is no less. There's no Santa Claus around their birthday, yet they love their birthday because they get gifts. So it didn't ruin her Christmas. She still looked forward to it. And I will also say this. While I told her there was no Santa Claus, I believe she still believed in it anyway.
She wanted to believe.
She was like, "Yeah, Dad, I ain't hearing that mess you talking about." Yeah. But nevertheless, I did come from a place of I never want to lie to her. So big or small, I didn't want to lie to her, and so I started with that. And
Did you do the other stuff, the Tooth Fairy and all of that? Did you do those?
I did the Tooth Fairy, but what does the Tooth Fairy look like? Like there is no
lies a lie, bro.
Yeah, I wasn't using it for the whiteness. I was like, you were like, you don't want to lie, but you were lying about the Tooth Fairy and saying you don't want to lie about Santa.
Humans are consistently inconsistent, so I'm not immune to that. I'm not immune to that.
So not lying was to make him feel better.
No. I meant that, but I just never gave it a thought with Tooth Fairy because it's like that's not something that she really is. It wasn't a big thing, you know what I mean? So I didn't give it much thought as far as like, we're lying, you know?
Those because $2.50 you got.
I was the Tooth Fairy. I was the one that was leaving the money. You know what I mean? So.
I get it.
Yeah. Some little white fairy can get credit for the $2.50 you left on her pillow.
How do we know it's white?
Playing with you. whatever she thought it was they can get credit for that.
Yeah. I mean, because let's be honest, most kids think of fairies. They think of the little white elf looking, fairy. That's what they kind of think about a lot of times. So maybe not Jasmine, but in general.
We should look at changing that.
Yeah.
We should look at changing that.
Yeah. And that's why white people are so pissed about diversity inclusion efforts, right? Like when, who was it? Yara Shahidi was Tinkerbell. And she was casted, I think she was casted as Tinkerbell. There was this huge outcry for that. When what's her name from Blackish became Ariel, or no, wait, that was Yara Shahidi, and then it was Chloe Halle Bailey was Ariel. There was this huge outcry because of that, right? And so we're trying to change that mentality of they're automatically white by adding these folks in and showing them as people of color, and there's a huge outcry because of that. So that's just as an aside. Society is trying to change it with inclusion and representation, but they're getting pushback from it. But I think
I don't love that, by the way. You
don't love what the pushback or
turning what's been known as white characters into black. I like coming up with our own.
But when you're talking about like a fairy in general, or are you talking about like Tinkerbell, Ariel, like the traditional?
Ariel,
yeah, okay,
yeah.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, Tinkerbell had black friends. Like, make her one of them.
Oh yeah, just bring one of those. So
yeah,
but I kind of agree with that. I do the same thing with comics. Like, I don't like the race swapping of comic characters. Like, I want Peter Parker should always be white, right? Because he's a white guy, and I like that Miles Morales. They made a new Spider-Man for him to do that. So I'm with you on that. For me, we were talking about this, Ferg, before the show started. I told my kids about Santa. I let them believe in it. I enjoyed the twinkle in their eye, them talking about Santa.
You told one kid.
What do you mean? I told. Oh no, I haven't told them about Santa. I let them believe in Santa. I was growing up because I liked seeing them excited about Santa, tracking Santa on the little app and all of that. It was fun. It was just fun for them to do and imagine. Because that's what I was all about. I'm like, use your imagination. I want you to kind of exercise that muscle and everything. And that's how I look at it. I don't look at it as lying. I look at it as storytelling. Like, we're telling a story about it. I want you to make up stuff. We made sure we went and saw Black Santa Clauses. So it wasn't a white Santa, that type of thing. We talked about that and how it's kind of funny. We didn't do Santa as a individual, because we talked about how Santa looks like you, right? And so it was white kids probably look at Santa as being white, and Hispanic kids probably look at Santa as being Hispanic, right? And that type of thing. We kind of went with that because we in his house we had a black Santa. Santa was always black. But I also limited what Santa would get credit for. So I only give my kids one gift from Santa Claus. Santa Claus doesn't get the 7, 8, 10 gifts that they get. Santa gets one, and it's usually more inexpensive gift. He doesn't bring your PlayStation. He's not bringing your Nintendo Switch. He not getting credit for that $250 item. He's getting credit for that $30, little teddy bear that you wanted on your list. So that's usually how I've always done it. But to talk about that person that's just gonna like try to ruin my child's imagination and happiness around that's not for you, bruh. And so you need to handle yours, but don't try to ruin it. And truthfully, I think if they did do that, my kids will just come to me and ask, and I'll just be like, they just being buttholes about it. Like, usually my answer when they ask me about Santa is, what do you believe? Anyway. And so I kind of let them figure it out because I'm trying to feel out when they actually are ready to stop believing. And so I just kind of let them kind of ride with it until they are ready to kind of start questioning it, until they start getting old.
Let them figure it out.
Yeah. And so like Ollie, I was talking to Ferg, I'm telling Ollie after this year. Sophie found out about it last year. Yes. And I'm telling Ollie at the end of this year, because he's third grade now.
Wait, why are you telling him? Why you want to let him figure it out?
I mean, because there's other kids in his class that are starting to kind of question it. And so he's questioning me about it. He's questioning me hard about it. Like, is it real? This, that, and the other. He still thinks it's real. I don't want him to be that kid that's holding out and all that and fighting for Santa Claus in there in the classroom. So I do think it's kind of time. And it just kind of, as he gets older, I think it's time for him to kind of, all right, it's time to let it go. You're almost 10. Let it go. He's not real, right? I'm gonna get all the credit for it. So I don't know. I don't know how I decided that this will be the last year, but I think it was a little bit of Sophie made me say
you get the feel
that she found out last year, and she's like, you gonna tell Ollie? I was like, well, not this year, so maybe next year. So he'll be the same age as you when you found out. So it kind of was a little bit of a deal with Sophie too.
So similar situation. So I'm more with Rozzy. That's how kind of we do it in our house, where it's we're gonna talk to Sky about it after this. I mean, similar thing. She's starting to ask. I think she's one of the last people in our class. But when you talk to Sky, and the reason I'm okay with, and not even okay, I'm almost dreading telling her, because there's a certain innocence about believing, right? I started to look back personally, like life before Santa and life after knowing about Santa. And maybe I'm an idealist, and I feel like that's a big part of your young childhood that's gone. Like, you start questioning things. I feel like once I stopped believing, I started looking at everything a little differently, right? There's a certain innocence that come with that. And with me, even what you were saying, Byron, and I'm not knocking you by any means, but I think sometimes we're so hell bent on our internal struggles with race and all that stuff that we're pushing it off to kids. It's like, my daughter's gonna, the rest of her life, she's gonna deal with racism and white people getting credit and stuff like that. I don't have to introduce her to that world this early, because she still deals with her own little microaggressions at school. She's locking her hair and stuff, so people are asking about her hair. So she's dealing with her own things. So kids don't care how much money you spent. They're not like, oh, I love my daddy more because he spent, I'm looking at my gifts, that's about $700 versus some white dude. It's, they're going to appreciate you. They're going to appreciate the situation regardless. My 8-year-old appreciating that Santa brought her gifts versus my 9-year-old knowing that I got the gifts. She's still going to enjoy Christmas, right? I caution us because I was thinking about it the other day, and it made me think about how many people still are so focused on teaching our kids the struggle, right? Like, well, they got to struggle and stuff like this. Like, no, they don't have to struggle, because in our mind, we're so hell bent of teaching them this method or whatever. It's like, they're going to have their struggles. I want to prepare them, but they don't have to struggle. I don't want to have to take their certain, things about their childhood away because I don't want a white man getting credit. Like, my kid is 8. My kid is 4. He shouldn't be worrying about what white men buy versus what daddy buys. He sees what daddy, they see what daddy buy every day because I complain about money all the time. And because I thought about that, I debated that a lot, but it's like, you know, that's me putting my burdens on them. That's how I take it for me. It's like me putting that as like, they're not going to be in therapy saying, well, I'm glad my life turned out that much better because at 6, my dad told me there was no Santa and I was able to focus on the plight of the white man and how he's trying to down the black people. It's just like, you know, it doesn't make, I don't feel like it's going to make them a better person, you know, in the long run. And I'm all about trying to prepare my kids and make them better people. And the longer they can enjoy and I can protect, even like when Rise was talking about the stories, like when I get those stories and I can have conversations. Oh yeah, I talked to Santa the other day. He was asking, you know, because he was asking about the lamplighters, yada yada yada. Because one of the lamplighters, you're like, I make up, and it creates this whole story in this world, and you see them light up, and you know whatever they were doing, they get quiet, and you just see it. You know, I remember my dad telling me like it was just a world I created.
It's believing in magic. Like,
yeah. Man, I feel like I'm in a Hallmark movie right now. Ferg talking about innocence and stuff. Man, come on, man. Y'all killing me.
Like, for my kids,
it's really not that serious. Like
for me, it is.
They're gonna enjoy Christmas regardless. I honest to God don't know why every year this is even an issue. If you want your kids to believe in Santa, cool. If you don't, cool. But I see people get so upset. How dare you take Christmas away from them kids? Yeah. Like, I'm just not you personally, but I'm just saying. But no, when you saying like the innocence is gone, that's like laughable to me. I don't. You know, it's to each their own, but I don't know why it's so serious.
Yeah, I think
the same reason it's serious to make sure that a white man doesn't get credit for your gifts
because microaggressions add up. Like, listen, we have seen how they've used white and black dolls as tests on how kids feel about themselves personally. Little black girls specifically struggle with their race at a young age without you even talking to them at all about it. Like, all of it adds up. If I can eliminate one, especially one that's not even serious.
Yeah, but talk about representation.
My
like
daughter,
the 2 big movies that came out around Christmas right now have Black Santas in it. So Jingle All the Way, Candy Cane Lane. They're both Jingle All the Way. I think has like Ludacris in it, and I think it's called.
That's the name of it?
I think that's it.
I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Ludacris.
I don't know why I thought that was the name of the Arnold Schwarzenegger one.
It's Dashing Through the Snow. It is. Jingle All the Way is
that's Sinbad.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. It's Dashing Through the Snow. I knew it was. I just knew it was a Christmas song. But Dashing Through the Snow and Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy, like those have Black Santas in them, like both of them. So I don't think it's. I agree with you. I don't think the child's not gonna enjoy Christmas. If you know that, what they aren't going to enjoy is the spirit, the season of Christmas. You know, it's a day for them. And so they can still enjoy all the other stuff that goes along with it. It's just one of those things, man, that it's one less thing they get to like light up and imagine,
enjoy about, so, because it's going to end quickly. Yeah, like you'll have so many years, 8 years.
But like you said, it's not that serious one way or the other. I don't look down on any parents that decide not to. I think that's fine. But what I do want to make sure that folks understand is that don't look down on the people that do.
Spoil it for nobody else.
Right? And let it be in that family what they're doing with their child. Like, stop trying to, like, you shouldn't be telling folks how to raise their child. They shouldn't be telling you how to raise your child. That, I think, is the issue, is that people are trying to make it, like you say, how dare you take it away? It's not that big of a deal. Like, certain people don't even celebrate Christmas in general, right? Like, certain religions don't even do Christmas. So they don't worry about Santa or anything else because they don't do Christmas at all. So what there's no difference there.
So, yeah, I'm with both of you on this. I will say this. I'm always with challenge your thoughts and making sure you're doing things for what you truly believe are the right reasons, not because this is what somebody told you to do, whatever the case may be. You know, like even with my example, I was saying, I feel like so many people are just so adamant about doing it. And it's like, you know, your kid lives to be 75. 68 years of it, they get to believe in Santa. Like, I mean, they don't believe in Santa. Like, don't necessarily get so hell bent because, like, you know what, I'm so pro-black that I don't want, like, let them be 7, let them be 6 while they're 7 and 6. You're dealing with a teenager. You see the change. You wish you can go back to those, I'm assuming, go back to some of those days when she was just so much more loving and under daddy and all that stuff. I'm just assuming maybe she hasn't made it to that teenage years. Maybe she hopes she never makes it that way. You know, I'm scared about that. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and I'm starting to see her little growth. You know, like her breaking away more, and I'm like, my God, give me my little sweet Sky.
The little independent.
I want to hold on to those moments.
Yeah. They're
like, so I want to hold on to that as long as, you know, as possible. So a part of it for me as well. So don't blindly just, you know, feel like you should have to believe, you know, make your kids believe in this white guy because it's what you're taught and all this stuff. Like, hey, maybe you switch it up a little bit, and you know, hey, Santa brought y'all one gift each. That's it. Mom and Daddy, Auntie Ferg, Auntie Tab, and Byron bought this. Like, it's no right or wrong way, but just make sure you're doing things for the reasons that really make sense to you, and don't follow things blindly.
I will say, if you're on my team and don't believe in telling your kid, chances are they still kind of believe, because they got so many other kids,
all the other kids, society,
like what they want to believe.
That poster that Orazio was talking about, who said that he will tell your like, I don't know what reasonable grown up would get pleasure in telling somebody else's kid there is no Santa Claus. I don't.
Well, because you're not woke enough. These black kids, because of all this, you know.
And I saw that he said, because I'm not finna lie to anybody else's kid. I'm like, that's not your place, though.
Yeah. You know how many times I've told kids, oh, that looks great, and you're doing a great job, when they're sucking it up? Like, you gotta lie to kids sometimes, right? You gotta be like, oh, this macaroni necklace is the greatest thing in the world. Thank you. Like, you
exactly.
You gotta do it.
Because I feel like kids want to believe, you know, certain people want to believe the lie. Certain people need to believe the lie in life. You know, I'm pretty sure our wives and people we dated lied to us all the time just because we needed to feel a certain way about ourselves. Mm-hmm. And vice versa. You don't say certain things to the women in your lives because they need to believe certain things. And so my thing
I feel like this dude that's saying the dude that's saying that he's gonna tell the other folks, he also told his wife she looked fat in that dress. He also told like that's the type of dude that he comes off. It's like he because I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be rude as shit to you. Like, I feel like that's what it is. Like, it's horrible, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you look good if you don't, though. I will just say, like, maybe that's not the dress for. Maybe that's not the.
We're a little straight up in this house.
Yeah. I've seen you. You know, what else were you thinking about wearing? You know, like. But my wife is gorgeous and she looks great in anything, so it doesn't matter. All right, let's go ahead and close it on out, fellas.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
I said I had a lot at the top and I had a lot at the end. I'll say there is this probably could have been a question too, but the mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, held a non-white holiday party for people in the Boston local government. So no white people were invited to the party, but she mistakenly sent the email out to the white people as well as the black and other minority people. So they found out, and there's been a conversation about, is that reverse racism? I also want to complain about a lot of these skits that we see on social media. I almost don't trust anything I see now. Anything that's outrageous, I'm like, it's a skit. Like, because I've just been fooled too many times. I want to go back to like the famous Cheesecake Factory one. We're in the text thread. We got a homeboy, and he was saying how he was saying how some of the young women that come to his place are easily impressed by Johnny Walker Black Label, right? So I just want to encourage these so-called content creators to please think before you make some of these posts bashing Cheesecake Factory and things, because there are people out there like my homeboy that are impressing these ladies by taking them to Cheesecake Factory and buying the regular Hennessy VSOP, and you're messing it up for them. Okay, there's a couple of brothers out there now that was looking forward to taking a woman to Cheesecake Factory, and now he couldn't after that skit came out. So y'all need to chill on some of these skits that's shaming the, I guess you call it, lower tier products. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see anything about Coach bags or Michael Kors or anything like that. We need our mid-level brothers and sisters to thrive, okay? So if you want to buy him some Polo cologne and he's easily impressed by that, ladies, you should be able to do it. And these skits need to stop shaming the Cheesecake Factories of the world, because people like my homeboy need to be able to easily impress the opposite sex at times. So that, and on a more serious note, we talked about Jonathan Majors and his whole DV case. I want to talk about a more serious case. This guy was one of my favorite top 5 boxers, and he recently was arrested. And his wife has filed for divorce, as well as I think she got a restraining order against him. But I just want to play this for people real quick, and just it's pretty. Let me
say this off the rip. Change your mind. Look. What I'm really saying is, she played big tough girl, and she put. Bro, it doesn't matter. I don't want to find out. Bro, look. I thought she was tough, bro. I'm gonna do it. Hey, can I show you? I hit that like this. In the eye. Socked her in the eye. Big, swole, purple, can't open. That called the cops on me. Like a woman. Like a regular woman.
That's that. So when I said last week that the Jonathan Majors thing is the first DV case that I've ever laughed at, I was serious, because seeing him run away from his girl, I'm sorry, that looked comical to me. That looked like a movie scene or something like that. Listening to this reminds you of how serious DV is, and to hear him brag about how he hit his wife and she was like a regular woman, she called the police. It was I can't think of any word other than gross. Yeah. So like I said, he was one of my favorite boxers, but not anymore.
Yeah, it's like he sounded appalled. What's up, Ryzen? Like how could she call the police on me after I hit her in the eye and purpled her eye?
Well, he says she talks big, so I guess he thought she could physically back it up against a professional trained man boxer.
No, he's trash, but it's probably along with one of the, what you were talking about, the skits, how, there's this new image of, some women feel like they're so tough that not that they can take on a man, but like they're used to this. Like I'm with men who are aggressive, and I date this, and so this is the kind of woman he's attracted to. Like the way he described it, he hit her like, it's not like he said he hit her regularly. He said he laid her out like purple eye, but like it's
been open.
Yeah. Like it's like it's almost like she brags about being with niggas and being, like I'll fight you and I'll do all this, yada 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 yada. Like this is what she wants. Like she wants this aggressive relationship. And when he gave it to her, like, well, apparently she don't want this aggressive relationship. Like you said, it's like his homeboy was kind of like, I don't want to hear this.
She called the police.
It's like, because maybe he thought they were going to fight. He's probably dated chicks that they were going to, Byron's I don't know. I can't. When I heard it the first time, I'm like, I don't get it. Maybe it's just because I know people who are in those relations where they fight. They go back and forth. That's how they get along. And he's always with women, insert random dude. He's always with chicks. They like to fight. The chick's always with dudes that she fights back and forth. That's the dynamics of the relationship. So I would be surprised if the first time he's ever put his hands on her.
I hope he gets help. He is a boxer, and we know what that comes with being hit in the head. So
that's gonna be an interesting defense too.
Yeah. So,
but that phone call
because he clearly
damning.
there's one. It's all bad, but it's one thing to hit a woman and then feel some type of remorse, but to talk like he's talking.
Oh yeah,
that
they gonna throw the book at him. The only thing they can do is say he has brain damage and all this stuff, and you can't plead temporary insanity when you're talking about, that dude's screwed. I mean, I hope he gets everything that's coming to him.
Yeah.
Ladies, be careful out there, especially people who are used to being in violent, relationships. You just never know how extreme it can go. So
that's all I got. Oh, and Merry Christmas. We hadn't said that once this episode. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, we're dropping on
Happy
Christmas.
Hanukkah. We said Happy Hanukkah last.
If I can get this edited in time, we're dropping on Christmas. If not, then we're going to be dropping on New Year's Eve. So we'll see, or New Year's Day. One or the other. So either Merry Christmas or Happy New Year's. One or the other.
Happy New Year, just in case.
So gotta see if I can get it edited in time. So yes, Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas to you guys. Talking about DV and the bad stuff, I want to, shout out how hard it is for us regular dudes, because you got the Russell Wilsons of the world that's buying Sierra her Masters for Christmas. So, our little regular dang on Christmas presents ain't good enough. So, but just shout out to him, man. He's lame as I don't know what, but he's a good dude. And I think that's the issue, is that so many people passed up lame dudes and then wonder why they don't have successful relationships.
No, let's not go there, Brazzy. Let's just congratulate Sierra.
Congratulations to Sierra
and Russell.
Yes, that. But let's not act like Russell isn't.
Don't blame the women. Yeah. Don't blame the women.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that it's
you blaming the women.
No. I just said they passed up on those guys. So you get what you get and you don't pitch a fit, as the kindergartners say. Anyway, that's all I had, man. With that, and if we don't have an episode, we probably won't have an episode for New Year's, because we'll be out of town, or I'll be out of town, I know, for most of next week. And so with that, we'll see you guys in the new year. If we don't get an episode out before then, we still on Contentville, still putting out episodes every week, 8:00 on Contentville, Inspire You on Air app. Make sure you download that if you're not listening to us on there. If you are listening to us on there, hit up any of your podcasting platforms. Check us out there every Monday as well. So that's all I got, man.
All right, I'll make mine quick. I'm gonna let y'all know I got new ops. I got new ops. I don't mess with school bus drivers.
Uh-oh.
I feel like I got punked today in the parking lot of my son's daycare, and I didn't realize how much power school bus drivers had. So I'm ready to get out, go through the gate to get out, and the school bus that was just parked didn't move. I'm getting ready to go around. They put out those flashing red lights.
Oh yeah,
you got to stop.
Yep, you do. You
got to stop. They are one of the most powerful people in the world. They ain't nothing you can do.
Mm-mm.
You hear police sirens, ambulance, you might still try to go and move and, run the light or whatever you need to do, get out the way. School bus. And so they just sat there for about 2-3 minutes. I didn't see anything happen. Nobody got on the bus, off the bus, none. Call it 3 minutes later, they just closed it and rolled out the gate like nothing happened. I feel like they knew I was in a hurry. They were trying to punk me. They want me to go around because nothing seemed like it happened. And I feel like they got it out for me. And I didn't realize how much power they got, because the whole time I'm sitting looking at my watch like, really? You know how you look around like, is anybody getting on? No, we just gonna sit here? All right. So I got ops now. With that being said, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy Kwanzaa, because we probably won't be back before then either. So Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast. 6 Rules of Podcast. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next year.